You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. We have run out of the episodes we recorded pre-stay-at-home order quarantine. So we are back with you through the Zoom app that a lot of people are using for school and business and pleasure.
Look at us.
So if you notice audio differences, that's what's happening. But thank you for joining us once again. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
Seth is at work. He's the only one of us still working. But we found somebody else.
Yeah.
Somebody who we haven't talked to in a while, who we finally got in a room because he's forced to stay home. You remember him as the illustrious one, Mr. Michael K. Easton.
Howdy, howdy.
How we doing, Michael?
I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive.
Well, people may be wondering if that was the case. I mean, it's probably been a couple of years, I think.
I would say probably about 18 months.
Oh, okay.
We just did our 200th episode with a lot of our favorite clips. Many of them featured your voice, so we hadn't heard you in a while, but now you're back with us live. How's life going in the world of a pandemic?
Well, I'm finally free. I'm a free man. I no longer have to push the push-'em, so I might be able to appear once in a while on this lovely, beautiful show of yours.
Well, it's not really. I mean, it's all of our shows. If
once upon a time,
right? Well, if people were, go back a few years and remember, we weren't Jordan and I and Seth weren't the ones that really started. Well, Jordan did, but you and Jordan started this podcast pretty much as the old So Pro podcast that we still talk about every now and again. And then you were a host on Ka-Pow from the get-go. And then I think we figured out about the last episode you did was 101. I think you did one episode after our big first clip show that we did back in the day at episode 100.
Well, I just knew that was the best and it wasn't going to get any better, so I just left.
You may be right.
Always leave wanting more.
You became very busy with your day job. A lot of people out there are not having that problem right now. Have you been keeping up on pop culture at all? What have you been
I've been
yourself with? Making comics?
Yes. I've been hunkered down at the Easton Homestead, drawing like there's no tomorrow, because maybe there's not. We don't know at this point. I have got a chance to catch up on some shows that I haven't watched in forever. Like I started watching Legion, which that's a whole nother conversation. That's pretty much it. Like I've just been drawing and drawing and drawing. I like to draw.
Several of your comics are up on the line for free right now, aren't they?
Yes, and I think yours are too.
Oh, imagine that. You've lost your ability to plug things seamlessly, Michael.
I'm a little rusty here. Let's see.
SoProComics.com. We've put several of our all ages comics up to read for free. You can read the digital editions. No hoops to jump through. You don't have to sign up for anything. You can just click and read them.
Right.
100% absolutely coronavirus free.
Yeah, because there's nothing to handle. There's no paper. You're just reading them on your device now.
Because that's how much we love you.
Because, I mean, let's face it, right now, there's no cons or anything that, anybody can go to. So really, that was a pretty smart thing to do, because there's no other way. I mean, unless you were sending them direct mail, I guess, but people can't go down to Asylum Comics right now and pick one up because, we're all in Ohio. Well, we're in Ohio. Michael's right across the river in West Virginia, but we're all on stay-at-home order, and this is the best way to do that is, online now.
Yeah, we had a convention scheduled here in a couple weeks in April in Athens, the Rathacon we were supposed to go to. That's been postponed. We don't really have any other cons planned, so it's going to be a strange year in the So-Pro world.
Yeah, because we had looked at Three Rivers Con because we did that last year, and I was waiting to see because it was in May. It might have, got out past the quarantine time zone. God, I can't even talk anymore. But just the other day they canceled that and they rescheduled it for next year. They're not even pushing it out till a later date.
Well, I've been wondering because I see so many different events that were scheduled like between now and like June right now, and everything's being postponed to, I've seen a lot of August dates and October and stuff like that, but I'm like, we can't do everything in like 2 months. Somebody's going to have to, something's got to give here. Somebody's going to have to start canceling a few things.
And we're still not sure where we'll be in 2 months. Like we can optimistically hope August will be fine.
Right.
And that would be wonderful, but there's still no way to really be sure.
So, well, the real reason we brought Michael on here is we want him to tell us everything that's happened to him in the last 18 months.
I don't think we have enough time for that.
Oh, man. We do have a 40-minute limit because we're cheapskates and we don't have the pro version of Zoom. So
I've gained some weight. I've lost some weight. I've hurt my back. I've healed my back. Got a few more gray hairs. Little less hair on top. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. And you're no longer driving the ice cream truck. So
no mo ice cream truck.
Yeah, that's kind of what drove Michael away, people, is he was in the ice cream truck driving around your neighborhood,
He doesn't even work for him anymore, and he doesn't want to talk about the company.
He didn't want to say a word.
I'm just so done with that.
He's afraid the company will still hear about him badmouthing.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
It's a time of period that I don't.
You've already
really
moved on. You're light years past that. So, well, typically on the show, whenever we don't have anything else to talk about, we just talk about what we watched, I think. So you said you watched Legion here lately, but go ahead.
I got through season 1, which it was pretty good. I liked it. It had some pretty strong performances. And then season 2 like completely veered left again, and I think I'm about halfway through season 2, and I don't know if I feel like I have the time. Like, I obviously have the time, but I'm like, do I still need to invest into this show? Because it's not like it's a show that you can be doing anything else at all other than watching this show.
Yeah, I didn't watch Legion. Jordan watched it and really liked season 1.
I'm glad I watched it. It was worth watching, but I said it didn't amount to anything. There wasn't some amazing payoff it's leading to. It's just a series of cool moments that, every episode would have something cool or some neat camera trick or something I hadn't seen before. But overall, I don't think it was a huge success.
Now, did you watch season 3 too?
Oh, I watched everything.
Everything. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I don't know if I like it or not because there's so much going on. I don't know if I'm watching it just to see what's going to happen next or if I'm actually enjoying it.
Are you still watching Riverdale is the big question.
Well, I was just going to bring that up. Riverdale adjacent, I have been watching Sabrina, the Teenage Witch on Netflix. I watched season 1 and I just recently picked it back up and I've been watching the rest of it.
Yeah, I watched season 1 and then I dropped off. I couldn't do it. It was
too much hell Satan.
Yeah, it really was. That's pretty much what it came down to. I felt wrong for even trying to watch it.
Were you afraid that a demon was going to be summoned?
I didn't know what was going to happen. I'm waiting for that ring girl to come through my TV. So where did you leave off with Riverdale? Have you watched it at all since?
Wow. The last thing I could possibly remember, maybe, see, when he was in the boxing underground prison thing, and then maybe slightly after that when he got freed.
Okay.
Maybe that season, probably.
Well, I mean, in typical Riverdale fashion, not much has changed, but like so much has happened since then. It's ridiculous.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so most movies around the world have been delayed. We have no new comics coming out, so TV is basically our only pop culture lifeline here at the moment.
Yeah,
I read a few books. I forgot about reading books. That's happened, but no one wants to hear about that.
There's something for you. Asylum Comics. I have a stack of comics about this big that I have not read, and now it's down to maybe that big. I finally got to read the Doomsday Clock. Got all that caught up, which was pretty good. I liked it, and I think I'm reading the is it the Immortal Hulk?
Yeah.
Well, the only thing anybody seems to be talking about right now is Tiger King.
Ooh. You mean Ronald Tramp's cousin?
It's not every day that a zookeeper went to prison for murder for hire.
There are more captive tigers in the U.S. than there are in the wild throughout the world.
Animal people are nuts, man. They're all crazy. I'm sure y'all got a story to tell.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Joe Exotic, and this is Sarge.
He was like a mythical character living out in the middle of Oklahoma who owned 1,200 tigers and lions and bears and
Come here, love me. Matt spoken, good looking, love to party and have fun. I don't think we're done blowing today.
I don't figure you are.
They have a heart and a soul and a mind. I've learned from them. But Carol Baskin keeps saying, I can't have these tigers.
if he ever had an enemy in his life, it was Carol Baskin.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens, it's Carol at Big Cat Rescue.
Carol is the Mother Teresa of cats.
We will end the private possession of these cats.
This is my way of living, and nobody's going to tell me any otherwise.
I know nothing about this but the memes, so you'll have
Okay.
to...
Are you serious? Oh.
I don't know where even to begin with this. I watched
I don't know where you could.
Alicia and I watched it. It's been like, it feels like over a week ago. Like we kind of watched it like right when it hit, and it became like the everything of the universe.
Yeah, you guys watched it right before the lockdown because that Monday, that's when I hurt my back, and it was the start of it, and that's when I started watching it.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's a documentary?
Yeah. It's kind of
documentary / reality.
He's a real life person.
He's a real he's a real life person that was putting on his own. He had a zoo, and he was putting on his own internet show. Okay. And then, which turned into a reporter coming along and starting to film a documentary about him as he was doing these shows.
Yeah, he was filming 24/7. Because he was helping produce the web shows, and he said like he didn't care about that. He knew this was a gold mine, and he was going to sell it as long as he could just shoot video 24/7 around what was going on.
But what we're actually watching is a documentary about the documentary about the reality show. So at one point, almost all of the footage for the documentary the reporter was filming burned up in a massive fire. That who knows who set that? It could have been a Joe. So, but along with the Tiger King, Joe Exotic, we meet this whole array of insane animal big cat people from across the country, and they are all nuts. Like that's really the attraction. It's just it's one crazy person to another crazy person to another crazy person. There's no good guy in the entire story. Like, Joe is not a good guy. The woman Carol Baskin, you've probably heard that name. She's not a good person.
Killed her husband.
She killed her husband. Doc Antle, the other guy that was, kind of like his mentor at one point, he's not a good dude. Like, there's a small part towards the beginning of it about a guy that was like one of the top drug dealers in the country in the 80s. And he has all these big cats now. Like,
buying all that cocaine.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's a amazing story by these crazy people, and the people, they all have a different type of like person that works for them or whatever. Like Joe Exotic has people that are like straight out of prison and homeless people, and that's the majority of your story.
There's at one point where he sets up his own pizza parlor, and kind of off to the side, the employees are like, I'm pretty sure this is the spoiled meat from the Walmart food truck, like some kind of thing where they would get a bunch of food from Walmart, I assume to feed the big animals. I think most of it was spoiled or something.
It was they got a trailer full of barrels, big garbage cans of meat, because at Walmart, if you pick up meat out of the grocery department and you take it off the shelf and then you decide you didn't want it, they can't go back on the shelf. So they take that and they just throw it in a big, in, I assume, refrigerated area. And there's all this meat, some of it's expired, spoiled, and with the stuff that people have touched. And then he would get this big truckload of meat to feed to the cats. Well, the workers were so poor because he paid them like $150 a week or something. And they would then eat out of the like spoiled meat also. But at one point, then they were making pizzas for their like guests of the zoo with the spoiled meat. The whole thing it's insane. But
it reminds me, I was just talking to my brother Jared about this the other day, of no matter what, any subculture, any weird world like this, like the more power you have in it, the crazier you are. Like if you're the biggest fish in this tiny pond, you go crazy with power. There's one of the Bigfoot shows we have gone to. I won't say which one. There's plenty in Ohio. I don't have to say which one. There's multiples in Ohio, so I won't say the name of it. But apparently the two people who had co-founded it had some kind of falling out. And the other one left. But the first guy still had control of the Facebook page. and 17,000 likes on his Facebook page. And I was alerted because they started posting weird passive-aggressive things on the official page about karma and how, people who betray others will get it in the end and all this weird stuff. Like, what is this about? And they had postponed the Bigfoot conference because of the current situation, and we're going to make it a virtual conference. You could watch remotely, but they weren't going to refund people's ticket money. And people were flipping out, and so there was this weird drama and like betrayals and backstabbing in the Bigfoot community. And it's like, could there be a smaller subculture in which to have like crazy drama? Well, apparently exotic animals is the thing.
Yep, that's it.
And watching that, there's so many little like little turns that could have taken where things would have worked out completely differently. But again, it was just egos got in the way, and they're like, it was who's bigger than who, and how can I pull one over this one rather than just, maybe doing your job.
Yeah, I've been watching. David Spade has a late night show now, and like I've been watching. Maybe the last week he's been interviewing people from this documentary. I think he had Jeff Lowe on there. He had the girl that got her spoilers, her arm chewed up. Several people, and he, like everybody else, he's fascinated with it, and and just can't get enough. He's like, tell me more. It's good stuff. So especially when you're locked up in four walls all the time now. So,
but I keep hearing people say it's not that weird. If you're from where we're from in rural southeastern Ohio, you've come across these sorts of people.
Oh, it's like I felt like I was back on my route when I was watching it.
Selling spoiled meat.
I just fell in the mud puddle. It's fine. Just brush it off.
Yeah, if anything falls out the door onto the street, you got to put it in the meat, in the spoiled bucket.
That's right. That's right. That day when you lost all your meat out here, Michael, I should have gathered it up.
Oh. And that show, like, that's why I keep seeing these things that become so massively popular for such a short period of time, and how big they blow up. It's weird, like that show hit at the perfect time because of all this stuff was going on. Like, it was a very welcome distraction from life.
Yeah, you want to talk about a captive audience. We have nothing else to do but sit at home and watch Tiger King at this point.
And all these people are putting out new content or free content. HBO just dropped hundreds of hours of classic TV. That Quibi, is it Quibi? Yeah. Quibi, whatever that is, that's just about to launch. There's people are recognizing, we're all pulling together, we're all Americans, we're all doing our best, but there's also this weird gold rush right now to get viewers' eyes, and because they know it's a captive audience.
Right.
Even Sirius XM has gone free right now.
Really?
Yeah, because it made me mad because I just paid for it.
Everything's coming up Michael K. Easton right now. So
you didn't have any kind of vacations planned or anything, Cliff? You weren't heading to Florida or anything?
I do have a trip booked. Alicia and I have our anniversary trip booked for the very tail end of June right now into like the 1st of July, which is our anniversary. So I don't know what's going to happen with that yet.
Is Disney still closed at the moment?
They are closed indefinitely, so we don't have any idea. It's just speculation like anything else. We have no idea when the parks could open, how they could open, because what happened at the parks was right before everything kind of got turned upside down, but we knew it was coming, at least most of us did. They sent like an email out to all the college program kids. These are kids that are enrolled in colleges across the country, but then they can, as a kind of like an internship, they come down to the parks and work, and Disney provides them with housing, Of course, a job there's different amounts of time you can do it. Well, they all at one time were just sent home. Like, sorry guys, it's up. You got to get out of here. The problem being, over the last, 10, 15 years, Disney has relied so much on those college program kids because it's such a popular program that they're like a third of their workforce in the parks. So now with all those kids gone, how do you open the parks up? Because you're down a third of your workforce. And when those, I hate to say it, but when those parks open up, if they just open up one day, it's just going to be people are not going to stay away. No matter what they say.
Definitely been a weird topsy-turvy reminder of who is quote-unquote essential and what jobs have to be done right now and what don't. So it's been a strange eye-opening, we'll say, for some people of just how important some of these supposedly menial low-level jobs really are of just keeping us up and running.
Right, exactly. So, yes, as far as that goes, we have no idea.
It also, with all this going on, it shows you, what you might waste your money on that you really don't need to be, and what you could actually be saving your money using it, just all this disposable entertainment that we pay, there's so much stuff to watch, listen to, blah, blah, blah. And all that stuff that you pay for, how often are you actually watching these things?
Yeah, even I know at my house, we have a ton of stuff that we could be watching right now, but I can only watch so much. I can't sit there all day on the couch and do nothing but watch television. I have to get up and move.
It's so weird. Everything I watch to take my mind off this reminds me of it. Because what did I just? Oh, I watched. I got a certain email for the DC Universe app. And watched the first Swamp Thing last night. It's all about a plague. A virus in a small town. Is a mysterious virus is killing people. I'm like, oh come on! I can't get away from it at all.
Well, that was the other night. I was like, hey. It sounds like a good time to watch the 12 Monkeys series, and I'm watching it going, this is not good.
Yeah,
all this stuff that is now non-essential. Yeah, of course it's non-essential, but there's a whole lot of people whose jobs are out there to provide you for non-essential stuff, and they have to put food on the table and get their kids educated and stuff. So I don't know. It's easy to say, oh, we need to just stop anything non-essential, just cut it out of your life. But, there's people relying on that too. Mattresses, comic books,
Exactly.
Hey, actually, speaking of comic books, we had, excuse me, the online comics seem to be working because I had a review from a mate in Australia that had read some of our books.
Nice.
Yeah, this is our first attempt at using the Zoom platform. We've never used
obviously.
We have no idea what we're doing. This is not our format. We should be doing podcasts where people cannot see us all the time. But even us, I'm like, I gotta. Everybody's talking about Zoom. Kids are doing school through it, and people are getting their only social interactions like we're doing right now through this app. I got to check it out and let's see if we can record something. And because people have to be going just bananas right now, especially, we're lucky enough, Michael and I, that, we have people, kids and spouses that we're bouncing stuff off of them all day. But Jordan, like you said, you probably hadn't talked to anybody in a couple weeks.
Which would normally be paradise.
Right.
Be careful what I feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone episode where like I got everything I ever wished for. Oh no, it's terrible.
That's one thing that I've noticed is there's like we're always in a rush to do stuff. And now with the sense of there's nothing urgent, the stuff that you would want to do before, you're not really caring that much about. You're not like, and just like I've talked to several artists with all this going on that they're having kind of a mental shutdown where it's like that, was that flight or fear or however that, damn it, this meeting said something about a time limit.
It says running out of time. We've removed the 40-minute time limit on your group meeting.
Oh, so you got an upgrade.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zoom.com.
If you'd like to sponsor a podcast.
but anyway, artists, they're like kind of having a mental shutdown with all this chaos that's going. They're either being very creative and producing a lot of material, or they're shutting down where they just can't do anything because there's with all this, there's just too many variables to kind of rationalize or think through. So at this point, I forgot where my point's going.
To me, it's the not knowing. Like when this first, Ohio was right on the ball with this, one of the first out of the gate, and they said stay at home until at least April 6th. So then you could kind of plan out, but we kind of guessed it would go longer. Now they're telling us May 1st. We still don't know if that's the end of it or not. Right. But it's like, my days are normally very structured. I know exactly, Monday I work on my comic orders. Tuesday they ship. Wednesday's new comic day. Like I have a set schedule for how to do things. And now it's just thrown into the air with no end date in sight. So it's hard to be motivated to, I've got to hurry up and do all this stuff I haven't done. It's like you get a week's vacation. You know how long you have to decompress. Well, will I be forever decompressing like for the next 6 months? Yeah. Or do I have to try and squeeze all this in now?
I'm to the point now where I'm like, well, I need to do this. And I'm like, well, should I do it or should I wait a few days when I don't have anything else to do and then maybe do it then?
But a definite shout out to everybody trying to stay normal. People trying to get their kids' homework done. Like our pal Jesse Starcher working for the unemployment office. I'm sure his days are insane right now. So
yeah, I bet he's working some overtime.
Yeah, anyone that's still at work, Seth working in the hospital, anyone out there trying to keep the wheels turning, God bless you.
Yeah.
Had my training gone on for another week or so, I would have been essential.
You're always essential to us, buddy.
We're going to switch from illustrious to essential.
Hey, Jordan, when you got up this morning, did you know what day of the week it was?
I did not.
I think that's been one of the worst things of waking up and you're like, what day is it?
And when you say this morning, that's a little generous.
I'm sorry, this afternoon. That is one thing that makes no sense to me. During this whole time, I don't think I have maybe one night or two have I actually slept a full 8 hours. I have been up almost every morning at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock. If it's 8, I haven't gone to bed till 2. And I don't know. Evidently, I thrive on chaos. That's the only thing I can figure out.
Maybe you need a better mattress, a better sleep
I do, actually.
Solution.
You should see the dent I have in my bed.
Do you roll?
I did not
do you roll to the middle?
No, it's like I'm going to go off the edge. It's like the center is like nice and high.
Oh,
and then there's like a cave for my body.
Yeah, we can take care of that for you.
Do you guys take payments?
Yeah, sure. We'll finance it. What the hell?
I'm surprised when I get approved for these days.
That was the scary thing is when I talked to you there a few weeks ago, and you'd bought a new car. Well, you bought a new car not too long ago, and then you needed another car, so you bought another car, like a work car, more or less. But it's a nice car. And you were talking about, I was going to put this much money down, and turns out I didn't even have to. And I was like, oh my God, things are working out for Michael. We're all doomed.
Yeah, that's what happens. The world stops when my gets together.
Here, I expected some amazing anecdote. I expected you to come out here and just have a tale to tell.
I thought he surely had been sitting on something, some little nugget that he's been saving up to put on out into the world, you know. But he's moved on.
Well, I mean,
Michael Zen Easton.
Actually, I have been pretty calm lately. It's amazing. But there is something in the works. If I ever, I was just going to say, if I ever had time, obviously I have time.
Now is the time.
Well, obviously you guys know, but Ronald P. Tramp might be coming back.
What?
Yeah.
Actually, we played your little intro and outro you made. Mm-hmm. We played that. What was that? Like 3 weeks ago when we actually recorded some episodes. Not in the episode. But
patrons heard it.
Well, yeah, the patrons heard it. We threw it in there, and we did have some. We had a little tweak, just a little tweak on the outro.
Oh boy!
So, because I told when we were listening to it, I said it sounds a lot like the original. It reminded me a lot of the original So Pro podcast intro and outro. Just
like a bluesy guitar riff kind of a...
Yeah.
Right. So there at the end on your outro, we need you to get Christy. Okay. and she needs to say, so spicy.
And that low, sexy voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can dig it.
So now that you're not driving around the ice cream truck recording yourself doing these episodes, what's going on with that?
That's probably what I'll be working on tomorrow.
Oh,
I did get about a good 15. Well, I was thinking that I have the gist recorded for the first episode, and it might be like a to be continued. You get the other part of what was going on afterwards. I do have to get it done here soon because it's very timely with what's going on.
So are you a character in it? Or is it not just Ronald P. Tramp? Do you appear as yourself?
It's full on Ronald P. Tramp the whole entire time. Now there are some other characters on there.
That's what I'm hoping for. Are multiple conversations between multiple people.
It's great talking to yourself in 3 different voices. It's awesome.
I hope it's a little more coherent than what we're doing right now.
Right. Yeah, this is definitely very weird. I don't know. It does feel very weird to me because when we're normally sitting in the same room, it's so easy. Yeah. But I feel it's a little forced. I'm just not used to looking at a camera.
Well, like I said, if you've watched any of the late night shows right now, they're all adjusting and doing this same thing, like doing their comedy monologues in an empty room.
Right. It doesn't.
It's just so awkward.
Yeah.
That
it
sounds
doesn't
painful.
Have the same. Yeah.
But they've been good. I think comedy is good when you have to overcome stuff like that. Conan's show has been good. Stephen Colbert's done some interesting things.
John
I think
Oliver.
Jimmy Fallon was the first one that did that.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a different world right now. I'm curious to see how it goes. What happens next? Do they just, when it's all over, do we just go back to the way everything is? Or I can't believe that. Something tells me, some of the stuff is good. People are going to like, and it's going to stick around. We were talking about Onward just came on Disney Plus today.
Yeah.
But there's all these movies that were in theaters available right now to watch at home, which is something we talked about years ago.
I think that's something that will stick around because they can charge a premium for that. Like you can get, I'm sure they'll still have a theater, just like, comic book store. You have digital comics also. You can, the people that don't want to go out can stay at home and watch the movie. I would say if it sticks around, it's going to be more than $20.
You think it'll be more than that?
Well, it seems like those sorts of things. I don't want to be controversial, but like I feel like advancements in those things are held back by like the theater owners don't want this.
Mm-hmm.
So these companies years ago could have been putting this into production, but to appease theater owners who aren't in the best shape right now, like, hey, we'll just hold back, we'll let you guys do things. And the same thing right now is happening with comics. They could easily be putting stuff out digitally and come up with new ways of getting books to people. But the retailers don't want that. They don't want things to change because things are precarious right now, and they need to hold back these advances just for their own good shape. So it's definitely like a tightrope between keeping the people who sell your products happy and moving to the future to get them to the actual consumer.
Because there's definitely going to be a sect of people out there that go, hey, don't take this away. I will pay for this. I really like this. And like you're saying, I what the price point is on that, I don't know. But
that's why I think it'll be like a premium service of, you can watch this at home on the day it's available, but you're going to pay like probably about as much as you would taking 4 or 5 people to the movie theater, or you can save money and go to the theater.
Will it still be $5 on Tuesdays?
Gosh, I hope so.
It's so weird. Like I started to watch some of Paskey's trivia on Facebook. They're the trivia that you guys go to.
See how quickly, like I hadn't even thought of that. We've been going to trivia every Wednesday for months, and it gets you get interrupted a couple weeks, and I've literally not even thought of
it. Yeah.
Well, it's amazing what's jumped online. Like fitness online has like completely taken off, where all these people are doing online classes, either live or pre-recorded. Like Planet Fitness actually had different celebrities. I think one time it was Jerry O'Connell you could exercise with him, and then I know I butchered his name. I'm back.
No, I'm just finding it funny that Jerry O'Connell is getting a renaissance in the
or like Chris Hemsworth, he has his own exercise, I forget what it's called, app, and he let that be free for right now. And so there's all these services that are completely going digital, and some of them are free, and some people are like charging for it. It's I think we are in a very precariously time where a lot of things are going to shift different ways.
But there's a generation that should be fine with it. Like a talk show, the Tonight Show or Late Night or any of these look the same as it did in the 50s. A guy in a suit comes out, tells a monologue in front of a crowd. Like, why? It doesn't have to. People on YouTube are getting millions of views looking like we do right now with our faces stuck on a low camera. Yep. And people get just as much entertainment that way than from a slick, glossy $1 million production. Like, who's to say that's still the right way to do it? No, who knows?
I think we need to invest in Zoom.
Sounds like it.
Well, they're investing in us. They just gave us free minutes.
That's true. That's true.
It was funny. Right before I came on here, I was reading an article about the FBI warning about Zoom. I watched them cut our time limit off right now. But where people were hijacking into...
That sounds like a trip file.
Yeah. But there was a story of some guy, I didn't get a chance to read it all, but some guy was given his dissertation and in front of like 40 people through Zoom, and someone hijacked into it and was saying all this hateful stuff. So
yeah, apparently
there's some learning experiences.
Yeah, somehow I think if you post people are posting their meeting links on like social media and stuff, and then strangers pick it up, and then they're they jump in there, and all of a sudden you got this big huge group, because you can have up to 100 people on the format. And I don't know. So I doubt that we'll be doing that.
Well, that would be good for, like, if you want to see who your actual fan base was, like you could do a Q&A or something.
I don't. I really don't.
I mean, it would definitely be chaotic.
We know who our fan base is.
We can name them all off. On less than 10 figures.
That's true.
Although that's not a bad idea. We can give people some notice.
Yeah.
And put a link up.
Virtual meetup type thing.
Yeah.
We'll have to get Seth on board. I don't know about that, but
then you just sit there and no one comes.
Yeah, that does happen sometimes. So we've been watching this show called, it's on the same channel as Pimple Popper and the Feet Show and all that. It's called 1,000 Pound Sisters. Have you seen this, Michael?
Jeez. No, I was just thinking, like you said, Pimple Popper, like, again, like something that's become popular, that it's basically digging gunk out of people's skin.
Yeah, and on this show, these two sisters combined at the beginning of the show, they weighed over 1,000 pounds. Yeah, and they live in Kentucky, and they have like a social media following. They get their cell phone out and hold it up and post videos up on like YouTube or something. And anyways, they had a meetup. They were going to the doctor in Atlanta, so they had to drive from Kentucky to Atlanta. And then while they were there, they set up a meetup, and they were going to have with their fans. And so they set up like a little table, and they've got their little markers to sign autographs and stuff like that, and a little sign behind them. And then like they're like, "Oh, okay, it's 11 o'clock. It's time for the meetup." And then they just sat there.
Oh no!
And there was like nobody there forever. And they're just sitting there like, do we stay the whole time? Eventually people showed up, but it was really sad. Like, I felt bad for
them. I've done store signings at my shop. I won't say who, but
yeah, you haven't had one of those for a while.
Yeah.
So, well, Michael, have you listened to very many of our episodes we've done since you've been gone?
Occasionally I've had a chance. Like when I was on the truck, it was so jumping in and jumping out. I didn't really have a whole lot of. It just was inconsistent and annoying to try to listen through a whole episode. But
that sounds like our tagline: inconsistent and annoying.
But I will say there has been times where I've listened to episodes here and there, and I got that I would be laughing, and I find you guys still entertaining, and getting that itch of, man, I really need to like be part of this again.
Well, we've tried to carry on. I'm not sure always how successfully we've done it, but we've tried to incorporate some new ideas into the show. And we do patron content now for our patrons, and sometimes it's behind the scenes audio recordings, we in between episodes and stuff, because we always record we don't meet every week. We usually it's every 2 weeks, and then we try to record as much as possible, usually 2 or 3 episodes, I guess, anymore at a time. But we've tried, a few newer ideas with that, and we've done some special, just short little segments we've put up on Patreon, on the Patreon page. But then we've added stuff like Yeah, You Know Me and One Job and what else, Jordan?
We're gonna be doing the Crossroads.
We're gonna do the Crossroads.
What is the Crossroads?
Discussing our favorite pop culture crossovers.
So it could be
pulling them out of a box. Our first one's going to be the $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman crossover versus Bigfoot.
Yeah, which I took the time. I watched it all. 2 hours of $6 Million Man. And I can't wait to talk about it. I don't remember ever watching that show. Really. So it was an education.
I kind of remember the Bionic Woman more than I do him, but I remember bits and pieces.
Yeah, it's interesting. For some reason, like, I don't want to get too far into it, but the first hour episode was from season 4, and he's dressed very much in like what I always saw, like the promotional stuff. He's got the red
like
jumpsuit on.
Suit.
Yeah, that type of
like
stuff.
Like velour or something.
Right. But something happened in season 5 but the episodes I watched from season 5, he has like this pencil thin mustache and he's dressed completely differently. His shirt's open. So he's got his bare chest hanging out, and I'm like, something has changed here.
He's rocking that 70s.
Yeah, which was it was weird because I thought, I don't know, I think it was 77 to 78 maybe, or 79, but I was like, he looks more 70s in the later episodes that I watched than the beginning episodes that I watched. So
it was like the Wonder Woman show, didn't it? Like the first season was like set during World War II, and then it jumped to like modern time.
Yeah, like nobody was ever going to notice. So yeah, so we have that's a new show idea that we're going to do. We've done a few episodes of Ka-Pow Theater recently, and bringing back the old Running the Asylum shows that we did. Instead of doing YouTube, we did an audio format. So, which Seth,
but you don't get to see Jordan Lowe dance. That is my favorite thing from that.
You know, speaking of that, this Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie is currently available on Amazon Prime for Prime members.
I was wondering what the hell was going on with that. Like, I don't remember it ever actually coming out. Did it like actually come out to the theaters?
They did. There was some limited release, and they did like a road show where they would go to different towns, like as a tour date, and they would have cast members there, and they do a Q&A and show the movie. But I don't know that it ever did a wide release whatsoever.
But it's not like I knew about the road show, but I remember reading something like it was amazing the amount of money they were making from doing the road show versus like doing like a wider release.
Well, I have to say, I started to watch it one night, and
don't break my heart.
Couldn't do it. As much as I love Clerks and Mallrats and those movies, they've just progressively gotten worse for me, and I could not get like a half hour into this thing, and I was like, I'm done.
That was the same with me for Super Troopers. Like when they did that, did all that fun or Kickstarter or whatever they did and raised all that money and did Super Troopers 2. It was horrible. I still haven't watched it all to this day.
Well, Jordan, what else you got?
Not a whole lot. I haven't been keeping real detailed notes because I knew we weren't recording anything.
Yeah, I haven't either. This was very impromptu, but I was just bored out of my mind.
Has anyone actually shaved the last 2 weeks?
I shaved the beard down.
Yeah, that. My hair, you can't. Alicia actually like trimmed up my hair because it was so long. I like it's still really long here on the sides. Like I've kind of like got it combed back because it's over my it's bad. It's driving me crazy.
That's what I'm really. That's one of the things I'm really looking forward to is like 6 months from now when no one has had a haircut the entire year. The whole world is gonna be like talk about the 70s, man. We're gonna just let it all go.
Yeah.
Well, yes, that's stuff you don't think about. Like I've seen several posts of people like, I need a haircut.
It's the truth. I saw a post a day or two ago that said, it said in 6 to 8 weeks, 88% of all blondes will cease to be on the earth. So yeah, it just depends on how long this thing, how long it goes. So
I did watch a movie the other night. It was on FX. It was that movie Mother! Exclamation point.
Yeah.
With Jennifer Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Seth has seen it. It's a kind of an indie movie. Darren Aronofsky, the guy who did Pi and Requiem for a Dream. I watched it and was confused by it, for one thing, or why it was ever on TV to begin with. But apparently they released it wide, did a whole marketing thing because it's Jennifer Lawrence, one of the biggest movie stars, and they marketed it like a horror movie about a young mother being tormented, and like that's not what it is. And it got one of the, there's the cinema score. It got an F from audiences because everyone who went to see it thinking it was a horror movie and a Jennifer Lawrence movie hated it. But it's like a strange parable, and the whole thing's very dreamlike, and there's weird logic to it. And it's her and her husband.
Aren't the characters called like mother and woman and man?
Yeah, nobody has a name in it. And like a guest comes to their house, and then like they start inviting people, and she's like, well, you can't have more people in the house, and it just gets weirder and weirder and builds and builds and builds. And I thought it was pretty powerful, even though I can't exactly explain why. But I had this whole thing because her husband, Javier Bardem, is a poet, and she's a much younger woman as the wife. She's like his muse, and I'm watching it. And I'm like, oh, so it's about art, and it's about using other people to generate art, and I'm putting all these threads together. And then after I watch it, I go, and apparently the director had come out and said, no, here's what it's about. The director has specifically explained, here's what all the metaphors are, here's what it was about, and here's this. Like, oh, okay, I guess I watched the movie wrong, but okay. But yeah, it's definitely a parable, and it's very biblical, and it's about climate change and what we're doing to the earth and all this stuff is what the director says. But whatever you get out of it is. But yeah, the last 15 to 20 minutes are some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen, and I don't know if I can recommend it because it's very weird and it's not a horror movie for sure. But for some reason FX is playing it, so it could be on. Check your local listings if you want to try it.
Speaking of FX, that was another thing I got to watch was the American Horror Story 1984 season. Did either of you watch any of that?
Yeah, never watched any of the American Horror Story.
I loved it. If anyone is a fan of any of the cheesy 80s like horror movies, like they hit every horror trope like you could imagine, and they incorporated it all into one seamless story. I mean, and they even like purposely did some cheesy acting. At least I'm assuming it was. Like it just seemed like some of the characters were like really trying to like come off as cheesy. Like it was. I was impressed with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Who's in it? Don't like every season's different, and they have different actors on that show, right?
Well, they have like a group of actors that appear in almost every season somehow, one way. Some seasons will go like towards one actor, like Emma Roberts. I think she's been in every season for at least the last 8 maybe or more. She plays like the damsel in distress. I don't really remember Carrie Fisher's daughter's in it. She's been in the last couple seasons of American Horror Story. Do you guys trying to think what her name is? Is it Billy? Maybe
Billy Lord.
Billy Lord.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's in it, and she was in the Apocalypse season. That was a good season. But yeah, it just like they were able to work in scenes that remind you of Jason, scenes that remind you of Freddy, like just all that campy horror stuff of the 80s. Like they did a really good job of it.
Well, you had told me after I watched Tiger King, because then I was searching for something else, which nothing else compares. But you had told me to watch that Evil Genius series.
Yes.
It's like a mini series on Netflix. So I watched it, and it was good. For it's very true crime-ish. But
I felt like you would have enjoyed it more had you watched it before Tiger King.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. It does. Like, they're just horrible people in it. They're psychopaths. Definitely, they don't have the showmanship that Joe Exotic has.
But that one took place in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, pretty close to home.
And here's a fun fact. That was my very first Comic-Con that I ever attended on my own as an artist, was in Erie, Pennsylvania.
It wasn't in 2003, was it?
Gosh. Nah. Maybe 2005.
Oh, okay. It was after the bombing then, or the bomber.
I had never heard any, like in the last couple of years I'd heard about that, but that was just completely insane.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about it. It's about a guy that robs a bank in Erie, Pennsylvania, and he comes in real casual, but he has this device around his neck, a collar with a bomb attached to it, and he's got like this t-shirt draped over him, and he's carrying a cane that's actually like a shotgun, and he robs the bank. Well, they catch him.
Oddly enough, they said like he was like walking like Charlie Chaplin or something.
Yeah, he was like swinging it around as he left. He like gets a sucker, the bowl of suckers, the dum-dums that are always at the bank. He like gets one of those, puts them as he's robbing the bank. He hands the teller a letter. So he strolls out, and they get him. The cops come in and like get him across the street at a McDonald's, outside of a McDonald's.
Yeah, they surround him pretty fast.
Yeah, and so he's in the street. They have him handcuffed, and he's got this this device around him, and they're explaining, every time a bank robbery like something like this happens, it's always like it's a fake bomb.
Yeah, they didn't believe it was real at all.
But it turns out this was a real bomb, and it shows the footage of him sitting in the street, cops surrounding him, and he's like yelling at the cops. He's like, "You got to get this thing off of me." And it ends up detonating, killing him. And then there's this whole crazy backstory of who put it on him, and the trials, and this reporter kind of picks it up and is writing, communicating with people that are in jail already about this thing. It's crazy. So
you can spoil it. Are there any tigers involved?
See, that's what part of the reason why I was disappointed. There's no tigers. There's no gay, polygamous, gun-toting guys, married to straight men, and throughout the whole thing. So
there is a very ferocious, evil woman in it.
Yes, there is. She was crazy,
and she might have killed her lover as well. Or various lovers. Actually,
yeah, more than one.
She killed her husband too.
So
a couple of them.
So I did watch that, but I don't know. I've been watching some old movies on Disney Plus. Watched The Rocketeer the other day, and mainly stuff like that. We watch a lot of YouTube. We're in Ohio here, so every like Monday through Friday we have a 2:00 standing appointment. My wife works for the state, so we have people are calling it wine with the wine or snacking with Acton or different various things. But we get our daily update press conference from the governor. And
I'll tell you, it's usually like informative.
It is.
People will ask him questions and he says, either here's the answer or I'm not real sure. Let me get back to you on that, or we'll look into it. And like the next day, he'll have an announcement about it. It's crazy to have functioning state government.
It really is. And this is.
However, over in West Virginia,
things are a little different. No, you guys just seem about 2 or 3 days behind. Like whatever station we move to, 2 or 3 days later, you guys tend to do the same thing.
Oh, well, it was funny when I was up in Clarksburg and all of Ohio was shut down. Mm-hmm. I go to the Planet Fitness.
People everywhere. Like
up there, it just didn't act like it even existed. 2 days later, complete shutdown.
Yeah. I was trying to tell some people at my employer that it's coming, it's going to happen, we're going to be shut down, and they were just like, yeah, we'll see. Maybe in Ohio, but West Virginia is not going to do anything. And I was like, it's going to be this way everywhere. And they were just like, well, we'll see.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a disadvantage. My last day open was a Monday, and I was supposed to get new comics that next Tuesday. And they announced, whenever you get your comics, go ahead and sell them. Because usually you have to wait till Wednesday for the street date. But they knew different states were closing at different times. So they said, as soon as you get your comics, put them on sale. But I was closed on Tuesday. But I still had to go track down my package from UPS, which is a long story. But the comic shops in West Virginia were not closed. So I had a few loyal customers I saw popping up on their Facebook page. Hold me a Batman, hold me an X-Men. I was like, hey, you see where loyalty goes?
Right. Yeah.
They'll hop the river for a comic if I'm closed.
Oh.
I did get to have a Tron marathon the other day. I watched watched Tron and then watched Tron Uprising and then finished it off with Tron Legacy.
Oh, so you what, the animated cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard that was good.
Yeah, it was really good. But what's stupid about the cartoon is it should have ended one episode prior, and it would have completely fit into Legacy because it showed how Tron gets cured and all this other stuff, and it was like they were trying to turn him to Clue's side, but they save him, and I'm like, if that just would have. If he just would have switched sides right there, that would have perfectly played into Legacy.
So did it start a new story and then it was done?
Yeah, well, the very next episode. Yeah, it was the very next episode. It was basically showing that Tron has inspired other programs to create an uprising. So it was like, at the very end, they were actually standing up towards Clue and his army, and then it just ended there because they didn't renew it, obviously.
Right. I think there were plans to.
Originally. Well, there was plans for Tron 3 too.
Yeah. Well, now that we're getting that new roller coaster in Florida, that the one they have over in
Shanghai.
Yes. I mean, it's well under construction. Maybe now that'll become popular over here, maybe it wouldn't surprise me a bit to see something else pop up.
Well, there's an Avatar roller coaster, and I hadn't hurried those movies anyway.
Hey, those movies are coming. They're working on them.
Oh, speaking of, actually, this has nothing to do with any of that stuff, but
Cool. We love segues.
Stargirl's coming out on CW, and it's again hitting at the right spot because these shows are shut down where they're not gonna. Some of them might not even finish their seasons out, where it'll start in May, right when all this other stuff's ending.
Yeah, apparently The Walking Dead only had like 2 more episodes to air, but they didn't have the final one finished. It was still in the editing special effects stage. So like they're gonna air 9 of the 10 episodes, and then like we'll share the finale at some point. So it's like we don't even know when you'll get the end of the story.
That's kind of weird because I would think if they filmed it and they're in post-production, it would be...
Said it was close, but they've had to start like farming it out and letting people work from home doing the final, special effects shots and stuff. Because I'm assuming it's a big battle, that it's a lot of, effects work, but it just wasn't completely done when, California is one of the first to just shut everything down.
Right. Michael, did you see, I'm going to show you my microphone here.
I did see this.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a patron gift.
That's sweet.
Just think about if everyone's getting $1,200, just what's $1 out of $1,200?
That's true. That's true.
Put toward the patron of your favorite podcast.
I mean, that's $12 a year that, you could give to us. I
can't do the math on that as far as percentages, but it's only a small percentage of your $1,200.
I don't know if you can buy a McDonald's cheeseburger for $1 anymore.
Probably not. So yeah, it'll that money, it goes right into Michael's bank account.
I have a running total. I'd really love to get that switched.
So we actually I think we're gonna I may have told you this. We were talking about taking that money and putting it into equipment. Not probably just for what we have. It'll go into getting another a microphone, like one of these types of microphones. Because when we have a guest on the show, we have these are Audio Technica mics, and they're XLR mics that go into our board, but we only have 3 of them. We each purchase one, and then we need one more for that guest, because what we're doing is we're using old USB mics, and then it's USB mics, man.
And see that actually brings it all around full circle, because that's when I checked out. Was like, oh, we're buying new mics. I'll see you guys.
Yeah, every time we have to get one out of a box somewhere and like try to get it to work with everything else, and it never works. It's always
you
like
just immediately cringe as you're pulling it out.
I do, and every time I'm like, oh, I'll use this mic, and then we're like 2 hours trying to get it to work, and we're all just sitting there like, God, how did we do this for like 3 years? Because we would have had a lot. Go ahead.
No, finish yours off.
I was gonna say we would have had a lot more episodes if we didn't have to spend 2 or 3 hours trying to get all the equipment to work with each other. All this.
We have wasted a lot of time.
Yeah. That's
we
for
never
sure.
Congratulated our pals at the Dueling Ogres for hitting 200 episodes. They just put out their 200th.
Yep.
And I found it odd they had some special guests on there. So it was Remington and Brandon, the main hosts, Chad, who's been a guest host on there a while, and Bucky showed up, which he was promoting his Instagram is Bucky the Blacksmith and everything. They call him Bucky. And I thought, lest we forget, Michael, you gave him that nickname.
I did.
You coined the term Bucky that's his whole life. He is now Bucky forever.
He owes all his fame to this show.
That's right. He was working at a gas station. He loved Captain America. The guy that was working with him was named Steve, and he was in the Army. Come on.
You just connected the dots.
That's what I do, man.
Yeah,
They had the same relationship that we always did. Like he's the punch. Like they punched down at Bucky and are like really mean to him, and he's just like, okay, guys, whatever.
I did just see Bucky the other day.
Did you?
Yeah, saw him in the store.
Did he tell you he was on Dueling Ogres episode 200?
He might have mentioned something like that.
Yeah. So always remember, Bucky, who gave you your big break.
This guy.
Well, anything else?
I'm hungry.
All right, let's let Michael go get something to eat.
Getting some vegetarian chili, huh?
Yeah, baby.
There we go.
There it is. It only took an hour and a half, but there it was.
Weird sound effects.
I just had to find my groove.
So before we sign off, how does this work for everybody? I mean,
it worked great for me.
Should we try this again?
I don't know how else to do it. We can't meet face to face.
Right. Jesse, you tell us when you get a moment. You tell us what to, is this a viable thing? Do you prefer watching us? Are we going to put the video up?
Oh dear. Are we?
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Gents.
We have the audio. We're definitely I'll get the audio going together into an episode, and we'll put that.
If you think the video adds something, then whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. So
I mean, you could definitely, if you do the video, you could definitely put it on YouTube or whatever.
Right. Yeah, we could do that. I mean, we have such great YouTube content out there. So.
Hey guys, Sweet Vid is our most recent comment. Was that another one of the? Was it spam or was it an actual person who commented?
It was not an actual person.
Oh,
I looked. It said like Tim 2, so I clicked on the page and like I don't think he had any actual videos, but he had like 3 other pages like Tim 1 and Tim 2 and Tim 3, and I was like, what is this?
Disappoint me, Tim.
Yeah.
Unless you're a real person, then you're my favorite. You're my favorite of the Tims.
So right.
Yeah, this was an experiment. We're just testing Zoom and testing your patience. All the listeners are just testing your patience. When we come back, we'll have some like categories like we normally do, or some actual.
Yeah, we'll plan it out a little bit next time. So
we'll try to have a little more of a plan. We may have Seth here. We may not. We may. Michael, you're welcome back at any point.
We have room on my screen for 4 boxes.
Whoa. Cool. All right. Well, we hope you are out there staying safe. We hope you are taking it seriously and doing what you can to flatten the curve. Wishing you all
like you
best.
said, flaccid the curve.
Go ahead and sign out, Michael.
Guys, you know you love it. As always, I remain the illustrious Michael K. Easton.
My name is Jordan Lowe.
And I'm Cliff Barnes. Goodbye forever. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udamwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, please sign up to be a patron through the Podbean app or our website, www.udamwithkpp.com, to receive special content and early access to some episodes. We are grateful to anyone that chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will always remain free, so please continue to like, comment, and share. All right, we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. That was something.
It was something. It's content, baby. All right, Michael, go eat your dinner, and I'll be here. So if you guys get bored, just message me or whatever, and we can always try again. Whenever. So
All right.
See you later.
Piece of chicken grease.